Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
All right, Commanders fans, buckle up because we've got some things to get to today, and I mean a lot of things. But before we even touch the football, there's a little bit of housekeeping we need to take care of because things around here have shifted. So stick with me, because by the end of this one, you're going to understand exactly why Washington might be about to solve one of its biggest problems on this roster without even having to give up a single draft pick. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the real stuff, because there is a juicy one today. 2 weeks, that's it. That's all that stands between the Washington Commanders and the official start of training camp down in Ashburn, and wouldn't you know it, the football gods decided to drop a gift right in Adam Peters' lap. Because this morning, the one and only Adam Schefter dropped a report that has Commanders fans everywhere sitting up a little straighter in their chairs. Former Cleveland Browns starting center Ethan Pocic, a guy who tore his Achilles tendon back in December, has reportedly been cleared by Dr. Norman Waldrop to participate in training camp. Let that sink in for a second. A veteran, starting caliber center who many assumed would be recovering well into the season is now being described by a source as, and I'm quoting this directly, a full go. Not limited. Not eased in. Full going, folks. If you know anything about the black hole currently sitting at the center position on this Washington Commanders roster, you know exactly why this is such a massive deal. Let's paint the picture here for a second, because context matters. This isn't some team that's set at center and just looking for organizational depth. This is a team that walked into the offseason with a gaping hole in the middle of that offensive line after cutting ties with Tyler Biadasz before free agency even opened. Then, when free agency did open in March, the front office swung and missed trying to bring in Tyler Linderbaum. 2 swings, 2 misses, and here we are, mere weeks from camp, with a center room that, respectfully, has Commanders fans more than a little nervous. Right now, the presumed starter is Nick Allegretti, and look, I want to be fair here, because Allegretti is not a bad football player. He's a guy who's carved out a real NFL career. He's got a Super Bowl ring, and he's shown he can be trusted in a pinch. But here's the thing. Throughout his entire NFL journey, Allegretti has primarily played guard, not center. And he wasn't even good enough at guard to be a full-time starter there. Last season, he couldn't even win the starting left guard job over Brandon Coleman. So now, all of a sudden, heading into a pivotal win-now season for this franchise, we're supposed to just trust that he flips a switch, moves to a completely new position, and becomes a rock-solid centerpiece of this offensive line. That's a lot of faith to put into a guy who's never actually done the job before at a full-time level. And if Allegretti doesn't work out, who's behind him? A rookie. Matt Golden out of Michigan State, a late-round pick who by all accounts is tough, is smart, does all the little things right that coaches love to talk about in press conferences. But let's be real with each other. He's not an elite athlete, his ceiling isn't sky high, and he is, at the end of the day, a rookie. If he's forced into extended playing time, he's going to take rookie lumps, and in a season where Washington is trying to squeeze every ounce of production out of quarterback Jayden Daniels and a brand new offensive scheme, rookie lumps at the center position could be an absolute disaster waiting to happen. So when you step back and look at the big picture, a center room that currently consists of a converted guard with no real center track record and an unproven rookie is frankly not the kind of foundation you want holding together an offensive line in a season where expectations are sky high. This is supposed to be a team pushing for a deep playoff run. This is a team that just watched its young quarterback take the league by storm. You cannot, and I mean cannot, afford to be figuring out your center position on the fly in Week 3 because things fell apart in August. Which brings us right back to the big story of the day. Enter Ethan Pocic. Now, is he perfect? No, of course not. Let's not pretend this is some magic bullet without a single question mark attached to it. Pocic is 31 years old, which in offensive line years isn't ancient, but it's not exactly a spring chicken either. He's a mountain of a man at 6'6" and 320 pounds, which honestly should make Commanders fans a little excited just picturing him anchoring that line. But he's also coming off a torn Achilles, arguably one of the scariest injuries a big man in the trenches can suffer, and he's coming off a down season in Cleveland where his final Pro Football Focus grade sat at a modest 63.8. That's not a number that jumps off the page and screams elite. That's a number that says solid, serviceable, not spectacular. But here's where I want you to really pay attention because context changes everything. Go back and look at Pocic's first 2 years in Cleveland before the injury bug and the down year hit. His grades were sitting in the 70s. He was protecting the quarterback at a genuinely high level, giving up minimal sacks. Last season, even in that down year, he only surrendered 2 sacks the entire season. 2. If a healthy, motivated Ethan Pocic walks into Washington and gets back anywhere close to that earlier form, this isn't just a stopgap fix. This could be a legitimate quality starting center and quite possibly a massive upgrade over anything currently sitting on this roster at the position. So let's just call it like it is. Even with the age, even with the Achilles history, even with the down year, Ethan Pocic, right now, today, would be the best starting center option available to the Washington Commanders. Full stop. And if that's true, then there is genuinely no excuse for Adam Peters not to be on the phone with Pocic's representation the second this video goes live, trying to get a deal worked out and a signature on a contract before camp even opens. Because let's think about the timeline here for a second. 2 weeks. That's what's left before Commanders training camp kicks off in Ashburn. If Washington moves fast, they can get Pocic into the building, get him acclimated to the new scheme under new offensive coordinator David Blough, and let him build real chemistry with this offensive line before the games start to count. Wait too long, and suddenly you're throwing a new center into the fire mid-season with 0 training camp reps, which defeats a huge chunk of the value of signing him in the first place. Now, some of you watching this might be saying, but what about Allegretti? What about giving Golden a real shot? And look, here's my take on that, and I think it's actually the perfect middle ground. I don't think Nick Allegretti needs to be run out of Washington or written off completely. I actually think he's a very solid depth piece, a security blanket, if you will. If you sign Pocic, and heaven forbid he goes down again with an injury, having Allegretti as your break in case of emergency backup center is a totally reasonable, even smart plan. He's proven he can step into a starting role in a pinch. That's literally how he won a Super Bowl ring with the Kansas City Chiefs, stepping in when the offensive line got hit with injuries. That's valuable. That's a good insurance policy. But an insurance policy is not the same as your primary starter, and there's a real difference between good enough to survive an emergency and good enough to be the guy you build your season around. And by the way, if for whatever reason the Pocic signing doesn't come together, Commanders fans, don't panic completely, because he is not the only name still floating around out there in free agency. Graham Glasgow is another veteran option that's been floated for weeks now, and honestly, I've been banging this drum since the very first week of free agency opened. Glasgow has actual, real experience starting at center in a Ben Johnson-style offense, which matters immensely here, because Washington's new offensive coordinator, David Blough, is expected to bring some of that same Ben Johnson influence into this new-look Commanders scheme. Glasgow has thrived in that exact system before. Now, he's dealing with his own questions, he's a bit older, he's had his share of injuries, and there's even chatter that retirement might be on his mind. But if he's willing to lace up the cleats one more time and bring that experience to Washington, that's another name I would happily accept as this team's answer at center. But make no mistake, the report of the day, the story that has everyone buzzing, is Ethan Pocic, a full-go clearance, a former starting caliber center, available in free agency, 2 weeks before camp. If you're the Washington Commanders and you're serious about building a legitimate contender around your franchise quarterback, this is about as close to a layup as it gets in the middle of July. So here's where I want to hear from you, because this show only works when you guys are part of the conversation. Down in the comments, I want you typing one letter. If you would sign Ethan Pocic to be the starting center for the Washington Commanders this year, type the letter S. If you'd rather pass on him and roll the dice with what's currently on the roster, type the letter P. Let's see where this fan base actually stands on this one, because I have a feeling the comment section is about to be lit up. And listen, this offensive line story is far from the only thing cooking in Commanders land right now. We've been tracking the wide receiver situation closely too, and there is a very good chance we're going to be talking a whole lot more about names like Stephon Diggs and maybe even Brandon Ayuk in the coming days and weeks as this team continues shaping its roster ahead of camp. If Pocic signs, if a receiver move happens, if literally anything breaks on this front, you know this channel is going to be the first place bringing it to you, breaking it down, and telling you exactly what it means for this Washington Commanders football team. So if you haven't already, now is the time. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update as this Commanders offseason story continues to develop, because trust me, it is far from over. Drop a like on this video if you want to see Ethan Pocic in a Washington Commanders uniform this season, and let me know down in that comment section S or P, sign him or pass, and anything else you're thinking about this offensive line heading into camp. Until next time, Commanders fans, go raise some hell.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.